So, for reasons which I have long since forgotten, I'm using the pseudonym Arrhythmic Nick, and this is my table of gubbins. Incidentally, if you're not familiar with the word gubbins, here's some help on what it might mean. So now that I hope we've cleared that up to your satisfaction, what exactly is on my table of gubbins today? Well, the answer is this. So this is the object I want to talk about. It's a 10-inch LP, plays at 33 1/3 RPM, of a piano trio by the great Czech composer Smetana. This was manufactured in the Soviet Union, I believe sometime in the 1950s, and the record label that it's on was used by the Soviet Union to sell records abroad. So it's a piano trio in G minor, opus 15, by Smetana, recorded by a trio of musicians who were actually quite eminent and well known at that time. We have Lev Oborin on the piano, David Ostrak on violin, and Svyatoslav Kneshevitsky on cello. Any Russian speakers out there will have realised that I don't speak Russian, and I do apologise for the fact that I've just butchered those names and don't know how to pronounce them. The reissues of this record, and you can find what I believe to be the same recording on Spotify or on CD, credited to the Ostrak Trio. So why is this particular record important to me, beyond the fact that now and again I do enjoy listening to the music of Smetana? Well, the reason is because it belonged to my dad. When my dad died, I acquired a lot of his old records, and this was among them. At first I thought that he had actually bought it on a trip to Czechoslovakia, which of course was the homeland of Smetana. He went in the 1950s on some kind of international socialist summer camp, I think. My grandfather was a miner and was an official in the NUM, and I'm sure they had links with international socialist societies, and he ended up going on a trip to visit his brother workers in Czechoslovakia. Smetana is often described as a composer of romantic nationalism. And while I'm really generally sceptical about the idea that orchestral music can convey ideas, and particularly political ideas, there maybe is a real evocation of the landscape and a real sense of place, of what historically was known as Bohemia, then became Czechoslovakia, now of course split into two separate nations. A land which, when Smetana was composing, was part of a much larger empire and therefore was not independent and free. And I don't think it's too much of a stretch to think that perhaps my dad, who had grew up in Wales during the mid-20th century, might have seen that romantic nationalist idea resonate with his own experiences of being in Wales. Also, a nation which, until very recently, did not have its own parliament or its own political structures. There's of course a sad irony in the Soviet Union appropriating this music, which yearns for the land of Bohemia to be free, when of course Czechoslovakia at that time was in the Eastern Bloc and effectively controlled a satellite state of the Soviet Union, as particularly seen in 1968, when the Czech government tried to go in a different direction and was met by a Soviet invasion. Beyond the fact then that it reminds me of my dad, it's also an object that makes me think of issues around identity, and particularly national identity, and around political beliefs and communism versus socialism, and other things that have really shaped me and made me who I am today. I suspect that 20 years ago I wouldn't have wanted to listen to this record. I would have said that it was 19th century bourgeois romantic crap, a style which had quite rightly been destroyed by modernism, and that in that romantic nationalism it was therefore inherently reactionary, because all nationalism is inherently reactionary. I'm not so sure nowadays that that's true. So it's a record that means something to me, and you know what? It's beautiful music, whatever its political intentions. So, should we switch on the record player and give it a quick listen?